we have begun. This could possibly be my final VOD, and by final, I don't mean final at all. This could be my last VOD for a while, considering my internet connection could be going out anytime now. I got my coffee here. I'm gonna try not to slurp loudly on that while I take a drink from it. But, alright. So, anyways, Eminence put this replay up. He has a whole bunch of them between Yui and himself. And, what went down with those replays, I have no idea. I haven't watched them. But, I think this should be an interesting match. It's labeled Hall of Fame replay. I haven't even taken a look at what made this replay so good. In fact, this is going to be entirely new to me. And it looks like this replay doesn't seem to have that much attention, considering the name too, and the players, Yui and Eminence. But then again, people don't seem to like Yui very much. Everybody seems to be hating on the Yui man. But all this guy wants to do is help out the community as much as possible. I don't know anyone else who supports fair play just as much as Yui. I mean, this guy's hardcore about fair play. I remember during the For the Win 3, just wanted Fire Island, Infinity Isle, because it was one of the most balanced fair play you could get in Red Alert 3. That's Fire Island and Infinity Isle. Although some would disagree about Fire Islands, because people say Fire Island is an allied map. But there's a lot of disadvantages for allies on this map, and I will go to explain it while they start their build orders. So we have Eminence playing as the Green Empire of the Rising Sun on the northern side of Fire Island. And on the south side we have yuiyui playing as the Cyan allies. Now everyone pretty much has become... Everybody seems to feel that, you know, Empire is good against allies. It's a great faction to fight allies with. It's a faction that allies seem to struggle with. But hopefully we're gonna see some good gameplay here. I'm pretty sure we will. Both players are very strong players and are very good. Especially Yui. Yui really continues to really prove himself that he's one of the best Red Alert 3 players in the game. And if Eminence keeps up his gameplay, I mean he hasn't been practicing 1 vs 1 for too long, as far as I remember. And he's always saying how he still has plenty more to learn, and that's a really good way. It's a really good way to look at things, that you always have more to learn, that you just keep playing, just keep on learning, and just keep on improving. It's a great way to look at things, and can't wait to see where he goes with that. And then of course we have Yui, who's been playing 1 vs 1. I guess you would say professionally, because if there were money involved, Yui would play a lot more, and a lot more hardcore as well. Not saying that Yui doesn't play hardcore now. I mean he doesn't actually, believe it or not. He doesn't put in the amount of hours he could, and I believe that's because he knows better. You know, he's just like, he doesn't need to put in as much time. So anyways, let's start focusing on the match here. Looks like Yui is getting out the airfield, sold his barracks, got a whole bunch of peacekeepers, which is going to come in handy against all these Imperial warriors. Now, originally people would say Imperial warriors are better than peacekeepers. I used to think this too until I seen yuiyui's peacekeeper micro, and then I realized, hey, they are not better. They are not better than peacekeepers. You just gotta have the right micromanagement skills, and then of course you can do this with the Vindicators and just bomb them, which will slowly reduce their Imperial warrior count. Now, the annoying thing about Empire is that they can spam all this infantry, get both oils, and then they can top that off by getting their Mecha Bay right after. How awful is that? They can go for a 3 barrack start and then get their Mecha Bay. And not to mention the refineries cost even more than the other factions. I mean, like, isn't that ridiculous? I mean, I always thought like that's really unfair. So it looks like they have a... I mean, it's not necessarily unfair. I mean, there's many things that balance it out, but still, the point is that it's really, really rough. Now, Yui's really focusing on killing Imperial warriors, and you know what? That's not too bad. You know, originally when if I were there in that position, I would have just bombed every single one of them singular, one at a time. That way all my peacekeepers could basically one-shot every one of them. But there's an advantage of just killing them off, which is just that they have less firepower, there's less of them around. Yui's gonna have to retreat with that Apollo, so he's under a lot of pressure with these Imperial Warriors. The Imperial Warriors not shooting at the Vindicators. There we go, shot at the Vindicator. That Vindicator was so close to going down. Oh man, if oh my god, oh no, he lost the Vindicator. This is not looking good for Yui. Losing early air as allies in the very start of the match is very, very harsh. It's very rough. It's not like Empire of the Rising Sun, because when you lose a Tengu or an Imperial Warrior, the Imperial Warrior is only 150 and the Tengu is only about 800, right? But when you lose a Vindicator, that's like that's over 1,000. That's 1,200. That's a lot of money to replace, and that's going to take away a lot of money and time from being able to build other things like turrets and other stupid allied things that are very powerful. So, now that we have a little break in the action, I'll begin to explain why I think this map isn't entirely Allies advantaged. For example, look how Yui only gets to the 3rd refinery. This isn't too much different from Infinity Isle, except the map's a bit bigger. Now here's another disadvantage. Well, and the reason he does this is because you're fighting Empire of the Rising Sun. And when you fight Empire of the Rising Sun, you can't necessarily just go here and get to both refineries, because if you do, you can't just pop a turret in between both these refineries. However, when you do have your MCV placed there, you can put your turrets here to guard these paths. You can place a turret here, and you can place a turret in the middle of your base, which is a very nice advantage to have. But as we see, Yui did move his MCV, and he doesn't have that advantage to be able to place the turret inside of his base any longer. So that's Yui's off to a very, very rough start. I have no idea how exactly he can recover from this. But then again, you got to keep in mind that the Empire player is losing units, and the more you lose in units, the more you lose in the warfare itself. That's why if you're playing Empire and you're just building Tengus and not expanding, you often just lose to allies. But as you can clearly see, that's not what Eminence is doing. Eminence is doing this harassment and expanding, and that's exactly what you have to do to make full advantage of this early game Tengu harassment. That way you can boom in the late game, despite your early losses in the early game from your harassment attacks. So more about the allied disadvantage on this map. Unlike Infinity Isle, Allies doesn't have the one pathway to defend. You can't just spam turrets in one area. Now in this area it's kind of an exception, but when your MCV is over here, this doesn't apply. Your MCV can only build turrets about here, and that leaves this pathway open. But due to Yui's positioning, he was able to put a turret here, and that's going to help in the later game, possibly. Maybe not by too much. And another devastating blow from Eminence with the exploding Tengus, one of the most annoying things about fighting Empire. Yui is off to the worst start I've ever seen him have in a long time. Now, it's not that he's a bad player or that he made any major mistakes, it's just that things just didn't go his way this round. Things really are heading in the direction of Eminence. Eminence really has a major advantage. But the match is still not over, as Yui still has 3 refineries, and he has to do some damage to Eminence. And you know, he is doing a good amount of damage. I mean, he just killed the VX chopper, striker. And looks like he's going to try to kill another one off too, which is another really good thing to have happening for you. He's really focusing on that VX striker, and he got it just in time. And he's still focusing. Now, the thing about killing VX is that they're like killing Vindicators. They cost a lot of money to replace. But as we can see, our Empire player here does have a 4th refinery. Yui keeping his cool though. Yui has lost a refinery, lost collectors, lost an early air. Well, no, he didn't lose the airfield, did he? Or maybe he did. Anyways, he lost some early aircraft. But he's keeping his cool and continuing. Now, Eminence doesn't seem to be fully committing to an offensive game. Not anymore, at least. He doesn't seem to be. He doesn't seem to be pulling himself to say, "I want to start building a massive army. I want to take him down now." Yui is saying, by Yui I mean Eminence. Eminence is saying, "I'm going to get out this other refinery. I'm going to further my advantage. I'm not going to rush into things like in the past. I'm not going to rush in. I'm not just going to lose all my units. I'm going to focus on being able to last very long and be able to overpower him into the late game. I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I really harassed him in the start. He doesn't have as many forces to harass me with, and I'm just going to keep on building forces." and that is a very excellent thing to do, as he has quite the advantage, and it's very good that he's just focusing on gaining his advantage. Of course, this area in particular is very hard to defend, so if it can survive, that's going to be very good. However, I think Yui has a cryo shot, and he's going to probably use it on the refinery. Maybe. I haven't seen him use the cryo shot yet. Hold on a moment. How would I know he had the cryo shot? Could it be that I am so experienced that I just know? I mean, look, Eminence has the shields up, and Yui does have a cryo shot. He's had it for a while, of course. I was thinking maybe he was going to cryo shot the refinery and just freeze it. No, I guess I didn't have the timing exactly down there. But the point is that I knew he had it, and that's what counts, and I was just wondering when he was going to use it. Did he use it here? I mean, this refinery looks kind of blue. No? No, I guess it was blue because it was in the water. Anyways, now Yuiyui's taking the time to do some harassment. That was weird, man. That was weird. I thought he was going to use the cryo shot. But he still did manage to take out a collector, right? I mean, look at this collector just heading down. Not even a collector is going to miss this little war here. Not at all. Collector, tank buster combination. That is the most powerful combination in the game. And I suggest doing it every match. No, I'm just kidding. It's not that good because collectors are damn expensive. Collectors are really expensive. I mean, like, this was a little bit of a blunder as he just lost his entire infantry force.
They don't mean no harm.
Yes, they don't mean no harm. And looks like he just has this collector on the offense. Strange. Looks like he must have been pre-building a new collector, and it must have just finished, and he had this one all the way over here still because it didn't actually die. So this is where things get a little tough because the allied player is in tier 3, and he has his defense down. He has all 4 refineries going, and well, he's slowly gaining the ability to have really good cryo shots. And look, he just got his 3rd protocol point, which will mean he can use cryo blast, and that's going to be able to freeze refineries, and that will make things very, very tough. And this could spell defeat for Eminence, but Eminence has barely any army. Eminence did not focus on mass units or spamming or mass offense by any means. And that's not what I usually see from Eminence. I usually don't see him play so conservative and so attacking. Like, this is something that a lot of Empire players will tell you never to do, is to tech versus allies. Don't tech versus allies. So this is some very unorthodox play from Eminence, and I can't wait to see where it goes, because you don't see tier 3 versus allies too much. Not at all. Not that it's a completely bad thing. I mean, like, the reason you don't do it is because there's cryo copies, right? If you even have if you have a wave force, they can just shrink it down, and your wave force heads towards all their turrets, and things get a little tough. If you have a King Ani, then well, the King Ani is just gonna get crushed by something. I don't think they do get crushed. I think they're I don't quite remember. Actually, strangely, I just don't remember that. I'm surprised Yui isn't doing anything with the cryo blast yet. He most certainly could. He has a Vindicator, he has his Apollos, and you look who has basically absolutely no Tengus. That means with no Tengus, Eminence has very low mobility, and that's going to have a lot of trouble defending against cryocopter harassment. And I'm surprised that Yui isn't really making more use of that. But we'll see where this is going. This is very unorthodox from Eminence. Now look, Eminence has even expanded over here, which is very odd. I mean, well, this means he has 5 refineries. He has 5 refineries, and that is a damn lot of refineries. He could almost put 6, but because of the Athena cannons, that's not going to be a good option. Not going to be a good choice in particular. Now, Yui is really holding back. Who knows why? but it might be a good thing. And looks like Yuriko gonna take down the MCV. Is he? Yes, he took down the MCV. Now that is just holy crap. Yuriko is a very, very strangely overpowered commando. We didn't mean to say overpowered or strange. I actually just meant to say strong and really amazingly awesome commando. But it is the only commando that can shoot over walls. It's the only commando that can shoot in the air. It's the only commando that can kill mass. Wait, no, I know it. Tanya can kill mass infantry. I guess, you know, Tanya is pretty overpowered herself in her own little way, because she can hide in your own structures and she won't die. However, Empire has their way of instantly killing Tanya. They just sell their structure and then just put the secondary mode of the Imperial Warrior. As Tanya just gets out, she gets chopped into sushi. Soviets, unfortunately, does not have that advantage. As far as I remembered, my old buddy, ex-navigator, told me that the best way to stop Tanya as Soviets was to just build a Stingray and keep it in your base. And that was just like, And you know, it does help. The Stingray definitely makes a difference. Now Yui finally spotted the refinery over here, took that out. Good job keeping up the harassment, and a surprising rebuild of the refinery over here. I mean, he just still has this amazing economic advantage. I just wish Yui would focus more on harassing and diverting his units, because Eminence has a very little mobile force. His force is not mobile. He could easily send a couple, like maybe one Mirage tank, as this turret is nearly dead. Could send a couple Mirage tanks over here, kill the turret. He still hasn't used the Cryoblast as far as I am concerned. Yes, he still hasn't used it. Now he has a Cryogeddon. Cryogeddon is like the end game. It's the end all be all. I wish Yui would have attacked earlier with this force. Yui is very hesitant to attack, and I have no idea why. His opponent does not have a massive army, and Allies is very, very strong in a position where your opponent doesn't have many units and you don't have many units. That's where Allies is most strong. At least that's my opinion. I think Allies is very strong when the opponent is very low on units. A little bit of a micro blunder as he used 2 bombs on the frozen unit and 1 bomb on the non-frozen unit. We see we just seen some final squadron from Eminence. That means he didn't go for Emperor's Rage. He just stopped right after Shields. And he does have a bit of VX. And here comes the Cryogeddon. I think Yui just made plenty of blunders in this matchup that really could have made a difference. And look, another one from Yui making another mistake here as he raises more units. Yui definitely could have been using more of those cryo shots and cryoblasts. He was not active with those protocols at all, and I wish he would have used more of them. And Yui has a lot of infantry. He has these Guardian tanks. He better have high technology, or better get it soon, because if you're having Guardian tanks in the army and you have this, if you have a massive ground army, get high technology, especially if you have Guardians around. Get high technology. There's no good reason not to. I mean, sure, cryo shots are good, but I mean, like, at least the high technology is passive. It's a passive ability. It's always on. But cryo shot, look how many times Yui has used cryo shot to harass. When? Never. He hasn't used it once the entire match. And it looks like Yui's expansion, which I didn't see go up, is going down due to Yuriko. Yuriko's a tough commander to deal with, because Vindicators aren't the solution. Vindicators can only damage her. It takes like 5 Vindicators to destroy her, and that's just ridiculous. It's really tough to destroy Yuriko. However, there is a big disadvantage, is that the tier 3 dojo can be frozen by a cryo shot. Yes, a cryo shot, and it doesn't take many Vindicators to take out the dojo. Not many at all. Not many Vindicators. I'm pretty sure I said Vindicators. I think I might have accidentally said Cryocopters. So looks like there's a tier 3 Imperial Dock, something you don't see often. just tier 3 gameplay in general from Empire of the Rising Sun you just don't see. Now Yui should, in this position, Yui should focus more on cryocopters. And that's what you should always focus on against Empire when they don't have Tengus. Cryocopters. Mass cryocopters, because they don't have Tengus. Their VX are not a threat to cryocopters, or at least not a big threat at least. Man, Yui could have done so much better in this match. I'm assuming this is an unranked match. I'm assuming this is unranked because Yui usually doesn't lose like this in tournament gameplays. It usually just doesn't happen. But you gotta realize that Yui doesn't put full effort during his unranked matches. He puts full effort into tournaments, but not into unranked. And it looks like Yui just got completely trampled. In my opinion, this replay was very one-sided. Very one-sided. I mean, the Empire player got the mass expand. He got to do everything he needed to do. He even got tier 3 against an Allies player, and he was almost going to be going Shogun battleships, which another thing you don't really see against Allies. He got so much early harassment. The Allied player lost the refinery very early on, and Eminence basically had 5 refineries almost the entire match. Let's take a look at the resources. Just take a look at the complete resource dominance. And looks like it wasn't that much more dominant, but he really Yui could have ended the match during that little mid-game part where Eminence was heading to tier 3, and that was a bit of a scouting error from Yui. He should have scouted better at that, and he's allies, right? So you can just keep using your Apollos to scout and your Vindicator and whatnot. And he could have done a bit more of that, and he could have said, "Hey, he's going tier 3. I can attack with my Athena cannons, rocket soldiers, and tanks." I mean, what did Eminence have that was so deadly? VX choppers, maybe a couple soldiers, a single wave force artillery. Yui could have went in there with all those forces and completely trampled him, but he didn't. He didn't. I don't know why he didn't, but he didn't. So that was a major issue, and I think that match would have been much more painful if that would have happened, because going tier 3 is a major time consumer, and the only factions that really have the major benefits from going tier 3 seem to be Soviets and Allies. Well, not Eminence, but the Japan in general is okay to get tier 3 if you pace it correctly. I think you should treat tier 3 on Empire the same way you do when you expand. You do it while you're attacking. You do it as your opponent is not focusing on you anymore. That way your opponent feels that he needs to defend himself instead of attack you. Because if you're being attacked and you're going tier 3, you're probably going to lose because you don't have enough forces. And especially as Empire spends all their money instantly on teching and well, maybe not teching, but getting the mainframe out, and because that's how Empire spends their money. Their structures build nearly instantaneously rather than paced like an Allies or Soviet structure. So when you build the mainframe, you basically have no money for anything else. But that was a very high risk tech from, I'd have to say, played particularly bad, considering he's Yui. I mean, there was no use of the cryo shots. He barely didn't exploit the fact that Eminence had barely anything mobile to defend his base from cryocopters with. And he didn't he didn't spam cryocopters like he could have, because he's not